So welcome back to the channel. Now in this week's video, I'm taking you to some amazing waterfalls. Now I'm in France on a family holiday. It's my first YouTube video in a different country to Britain. So I'm hoping it goes okay. Now I'm going to try and share with you a few tips that I found helpful when I've been doing my photography, particularly to try and improve the sharpness of my photos. So hopefully some of these tips will be of use to you. Now the final tip I have, I don't think a lot of you beginner photographers out there will have heard of. So I'm looking forward to sharing that with you as well. And it's particularly useful for when you're doing handheld shots, because a lot of my shots are with a tripod and sometimes you can get a little bit lazy. So look out for that one, and I'll just spin you around so you can have a look at these waterfalls. I think the waterfalls are called Cascades de Sordet, but my pronunciation is awful in French. I'm not that great in English either, so I'll put that up now so you know where I am. But it's an incredible place, and this is just the start of it here. You can just see how the water has just carved out all these shapes in the limestone rocks, and it gets pretty fierce all the way down. So there's a point just a little bit further down that I want to take you to, and hopefully we can just get a couple of quick shots along the way, and hopefully we don't fall down any of these edges. And it's a great place for diving off the cliffs as well. Really great down the bottom end. If I've got time to take you there, I will do, but this particular spot is just down here that I'd like to take you. The flow of the water is amazing. Don't really think the GoPro I'm using really does it justice, but it's beautiful. But it gets so busy down here. I'm just in the village called, I think it's Le Roc-sur-Saisie, but I will put that up as well again, because my pronunciation of these places are not good at all. So it's just coming up to 7 o'clock in the morning now, and it's been particularly hot, so I thought I'd get out early. But just look at that down there. It's absolutely beautiful. So it's been pretty hot in the day. It's been highs of about 34 degrees. Now, if you've seen my stories on my Instagram channel, you've probably seen that I was doing a paddleboarding trip yesterday, or was it the day before, and it was I did about 12 kilometers, just over 8 miles, but it was 32 degrees, so it was unbelievably hot. So I'm trying to get out early and get here before all the crowds do, as this is a very, very popular place. But just look at all these shapes here in the rocks. It's absolutely amazing. Look at that for a composition. So hopefully I can get around there somehow. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it, but we'll see if we can set up here and get a bit of a shot along the way. It's incredible. There's little falls coming off down here, as you probably see. This torrent here, and then in the background as well. I can't get access to all of them to get a decent composition, but it's just an amazing place. So if you're ever in this part of France, definitely give it a go. You won't be disappointed. So first thing that will really help you get sharp photos is using a tripod. Now most of you know that I use a tripod in most of my shots, and that just provides a real good base for your camera so you don't get any shake, especially at slow shutter speeds, which I'll be using today, because I'm going to slow that water down, so I'm going to have to use a slow shutter speed. Now the next tip is to do with aperture. Now this lens goes down to f2.8, which will open the lens really wide and let as much light in as possible. But the downside of that for this shot is that not everything will be sharp and in focus. There is times that it is really handy, but today I'll be using between f8 and f11. Now that's the sharpest range on this lens, and each lens has its sharpest point. So if you go on the manufacturer's website, that will tell you. The reason I want to use between f8 and f11 is to get as much in focus as possible for this awesome composition. Tip 3 is about the mirror lockup system. Now, if you've got a mirrorless camera, don't need to worry about it, but I'm a bit old school. I'm still on a DSLR, Canon DSLR. So why is it important to use the mirror lockup system? Well, each time you press the shutter button on your camera, a mirror flips up as it takes the image, and that can produce camera shake. Now, it's only a tiny amount, but that can make or break a sharp image. So that's a really good tip to remember. So tip 4 is about handheld photography. Now this is a 100 to 400 millimeter lens, and it is quite heavy, so it can be quite difficult to keep this as steady as needed to get sharp photos. So what can we do when we're not using the tripod to get sharper photos with our handheld photography? Well, it comes down to shutter speed. Now the rule of thumb is that we use the same shutter speed for the focal length that we're using. So this at 100 millimeters, I would use a shutter speed of 1/100th of a second, and that's on a full frame camera. And if I go up to 400 millimeters on the lens, I'd be using a shutter speed of 1/400th of a second or faster. And we can always tweak that with our aperture and our ISO to make sure we're getting the relevant shutter speed needed. So I hope these tips have been of some use to you. If you've enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, because that really helps the channel out. And thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.